Today we're going to take a look at the Air Pocket Pump and the laser measuring tool. Let's find out if these two tools are right and you should add them in your kit. What's going on, everybody? This is Lamar with MF Research, and today we're going to take a look at the Air Pocket Pump and the laser measuring tool by Hoto. I've been using these guys for the past couple of weeks in a couple different conditions. So let's take a look at them. Let's see if there's something that you might want to look at picking up for yourself. Hoto did send these guys out for my opinion, and I'm going to run them through their paces and see who they're right for, because they may be right for you, they may not be right for you, depending on what your needs are. And as always, we'll take a look at the specs. I'll tell you what I like, areas I think they can improve on, and who I think these are right for. So let's start with the laser measuring tool. It's interesting to me because I was just looking at this guy on Amazon 2 weeks before Hoto called me, because I had an idea of how I wanted to use this little guy. It didn't quite work out like I planned, but it was still interesting. So what I wanted to know if it would give me added functionality over just basic measuring tape. So now let's go over some of the features. It has a 98-foot range. It measures to the 1/16 or 2 millimeters, depending on what units you have it on. It connects to an app. We'll talk about using the app a little bit later on in the video. It works in feet and inches or meters. It has an OLED screen that's about 1 inch long. It charges with USB-C. It weighs about 38 grams. You can even set it up so the measurements start here or here. So I use it in a couple of places. One of the things I'm looking at, my wife bought me an espresso machine for Christmas. And one of the things I'm looking at is converting some of the area in our kitchen into a coffee bar. So this worked perfectly in the section that I'm thinking of using to measure some of the floor space to see what kind of cart or table or bench that I can use in this particular setup. Another area it worked out pretty good for is looking at some storage space to put a couple extra things we had around the house to figure out what the dimensions were real quick, to figure out if it was enough space to do what we needed to do. One of the things we're looking at is moving our son to another one of the rooms in the house. So looking at his furniture, looking at some of the space, seeing what we need to do as far as different things in his room. So it works well when you're figuring out what kind of shelf space you have. While it did work measuring space and dimensions and things like that, figuring out how much room you have for a particular thing, where I don't think it worked very well is if you're trying to measure an item. One of the things I wanted to do initially before looking at the specs was measure some of my EDC gear. So when I'm talking about a backpack, measuring the length and the width, it was a little challenging. It could be done, but I don't recommend it with this because you have to butt it against the wall or something and then measure from that point. Not really worth it in that particular case. So what we're gonna do now is I've got my screen recording for the app. We're gonna take Zaku right here and we're gonna get some measurements of him from the desk just to get a feel for what that looks like in the app. And I'll do a few of them because that's one of the things I want to talk about a little later as far as the features go. So let's do that right now. Got the laser. Boom. Well, let's see. Let's get little Zaku. Boom. Let's see. Let's get just the wall distance behind him. I don't know if you can see that. Boom. Let's get the Gundam play sticker. Boom. So we just got a couple measurements real time, and you'll see what those look like in the app. It's pretty quick. It's pretty easy. It incorporates very well, and I do like that. So now what I want to do is look at some pros and cons to see if this would be something you'd be interested in. So first up, I'm just going to compare it to a good old tape measure. So depending on the two, depending on which one you get, this can end up being lighter than the tape measure, and that's a good thing. The 98 meters is definitely a longer range, so if you've got large spaces to get a quick measurement of, this is going to help you out a little bit better. I'm never going to need 98 feet, but it's there if you want it. And once you get the hang of it, getting quick measurements like this can be significantly faster to get them and have them recorded. So now where the tape measure is a little bit better is if you're trying to measure an item, this to me does way better. And this one, it kind of depends on both of them. The accuracy depends on how well the user uses things. I did notice that if you're not on a perfectly level surface, it does alter the measurement a little bit based on where your hand is positioned. So what I like to do is, let's say this is the corner. I like to just butt it right in that corner and measure just like that. That's usually the way to get the most accurate measurement. Tape measure is going to be low tech, but it's going to be easy and it's going to be consistent every time. And this is kind of a pro or a con depending on how you want to look at it. There's an app. It stores your measurements. You can do a lot with those measurements. You can map out a room. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. Depending on where you fall on that spectrum, you might either like the app or you might just think that's another app that I need to keep track of on my phone. Now, I don't know if you've ever used the measuring function on the phone. I compared it to that as well. Obviously, this guy is lighter. The phone, you're always gonna have it on you, so it's a little bit easier and not one more thing to keep track of. I think on this, it's easier to get a straight line. The phone's a little bit more challenging to me as far as measuring. This will fit in smaller places than your phone. I did find that it's a little bit easier on my phone and the apps on the iPhone to get the measurements exported. So now let's talk about what I like about it. It's quick, it's easy to use, it's light. I like the app, so if you're trying to get a lot of measurements quickly, they'll store in the app automatically and you'll have them right there at your fingertips. And once I got the hang of it, I found the measurements to be pretty accurate and pretty consistent over time. So that's a good thing. Quick, accurate measurements, I think, is where this thing excels at. If you're doing a lot of room planning or things like that, or buying furniture, trying to figure out if a TV fits on a wall, I think this is something that'll be good for something like that. So now let's talk about some of the areas where I think this guy can improve. One of the things that I had the most trouble with, and I'll show you on the screen, let's turn it on. I don't know if you can pick it up on camera. So it looks a little better on camera to me, but the screen looked a little hazy to me. One of the things that I was trying to do periodically is make sure that I didn't leave the plastic film on when I was using it. You could still see everything pretty good, but it just looked a little fuzzy for me. I don't know if that's just user error or what. I wish there was a way to save a few more measurements internally on the device. If I don't want to break out the app and I just need 2 or 3 measurements, this isn't going to do it without the app. So I wish you could do maybe 2, 3 measurements would be nice. Another thing I wish you could do, and this would work a little better when I'm trying to measure my EDC gear, is just like the iPhone app does, is measure the distance between 2 points. So say record point 1, record point 2, and then measure that distance between the 2. That will work out a little better for me and give you a little bit more functionality. There is the Laser Tape Measure Pro, and it may do some of those things, but I'm not quite sure. So who is this right for? In church one day, we were talking about getting one of the windows that faces the sun tinted. And what we found is trying to measure the height was really hard because that window was really tall. Something like this with the 98-foot range would make that easy. Just put it in the corner, go boom, boom. You got the length and you got the width in a matter of seconds. So if you're measuring the distance between 2 walls, I think it's perfect. If I was trying to measure between here and here, that's the perfect kind of use for that. I think it's just fantastic. It's quick, it's easy. You can get your measurement and move on quick. Also, if you're doing anything, add new furniture and stuff like that, I think this is perfect for that. And it doesn't take up too much space. I think once you get the hang of it, get an idea of how to use it and what it's used for, I think it's pretty cool. Plus, who doesn't like to play with lasers? I know I do. Kind of fun. Hey, I hope you're liking the video so far. Don't forget to like, comment with any gear reviews you'd like to see in the future, and subscribe to MF for Research. Any support helps grow my little small corner of the EDC community. Now back to the video. We're now going to talk about the Air Pocket Pump. So now let's go over some of the specs. It is 1.5 inch by 2.28 inches by 3.66 inches. It weighs just over half a pound. It inflates up to 150 PSI. There's a 360 click to start. There's 2 customizable presets that you can set. It's got a 2000 milliamp hour battery. It says that's enough to fill 8 flat car tires or 18 road bikes. It's got a nice digital display. And what you get in the package is you get the air pocket pump, you get the press the valve cover, you get a quick connect valve adapter, you get a needle valve adapter, you get a soft rubber band, and that rubber band is kind of unique that it has some of the PSIs on certain items, and it's got the USB-C charging cable. I think it worked best around the house. We've got soccer balls and kickballs and volleyballs and footballs and stuff like that need air from time to time. Using one of these to pump those up really quick, you could throw it in your bag while you're out with the kids and it'll be right there. Air that ball up real quick. Some friends gave us a bike for my 5-year-old and it needs a little bit of TLC. One of the things is some air in the tires. This right here did that in no time. And now the next thing that I'm going to use it for as we're getting closer to the spring is to keep my air and my motorcycle tires topped off. A couple things I didn't really like using it for. It can fill a car tire in a pinch, but I wasn't really a fan of how long it takes. Given the nature of the size, it's kind of understandable, but not really my favorite use case for you. And I tried a little bit to inflate a couple pool inflatables. Not really a fan of that use either, but that's 2 small things compared to where all I think the benefits are. So right now I'm going to demonstrate real quick, just showing you how to use it. If you've got headphones on, turn them down a little bit because this guy does get a little bit loud. All you have to do is take it, flip the 360-degree switch. It turns the power on. You can see everything's there. It's already set to, I think I had it set to 31 PSI. Hit the button and it's on right there. All you do when you're done is flip it down, turn it off, and you're ready to go for the next time. And it turns right back off. I'll show you that again. Flip the switch, 31 PSI, set, ready to go, hit power. So now you see how quick and easy it is to use. Let's talk about some of the things that I like about it. I love the size. It's palm size. I mean, you can't beat that. This fits in a sling. So if you're out on the go and you just have a sling, this will fit in there no problem with your tire repair kit. And it has 2 preset options. I never knew that preset options would be something in a tire inflator that I would like until I actually had it and got to test it out. There was nothing like, especially when I was testing out some of the tires, I could set the PSI, fill it up, let the air out, and fill it right back up and know I was at the correct PSI. So some of the areas where I think it can improve. One of the things I'm a little worried about, given the small nature and given that you can take this mountain biking, e-biking, motorcycle riding, dirt biking, I think I'm worried a little bit about the screen. I don't know how well it'll hold up over time if you drop it or if it hits a rock or something like that. So don't know if that's an issue, but it's something that I was noticing and something that I'd be worried about while using this guy. Another thing, if you might use it in the dark, even though I'm always gonna have a flashlight on me, just a small little light just to see what you're doing and make sure the pump lines up with the valve. That would have been nice. So another possible improvement would be based on the charging. It says it takes an hour and a half to go from empty to full charge. Maybe some kind of quick charging mechanism would be nice. So you go from a dead battery to maybe just enough charge to fill up a tire in about 15 minutes. That'd be great. Because nothing would suck worse is if you're out and about, the battery's dead, and you're trying to fill up a tire, and you got to wait to fill it up with air. And while the storage band is nice, if I wanted to keep all the accessories together, I'd like a little pouch to just put it all in together. That way I don't have to worry about it. I could use the accessory band if I wanted to, and I could use everything in a pouch. So if this guy is too small for you, they've got a couple other sizes as well. They've got the Air Pump, they've got the Air Pump Pro, and they've got the Electric Air Pump Adventure, I think. So who do I think this is right for? Just like in the advertisements, I think it's right for cyclists. So if you're riding a mountain bike, if you're riding just a regular street cycle, something like that I think would be perfect in your tail bag or something like that, just to keep it there, have it in case of emergency. Another option would be for my dirt bike riders out there. You can put that in your tank bag and have a nice little mini repair kit set and ready to go. My favorite idea would be for an ADV rider. So for those that don't know, a lot of ADV riders and dual sport riders that ride their bikes on and off-road, they'll have 1 PSI on the street, and when they're ready to hit the trails, they'll lower that PSI. I think this is perfect for that because you could have your 2 presets. You could have your trail PSI and your road PSI. Get to the trails, you can set it to 1. Get ready to go home, you can set it to the other, and you'll be ready to go. In addition to other riders, if you've got an e-bike, I think this would be good to add too, just something to that emergency repair kit if you get a flat out there on the road. I'm not gonna say this is the most likely use I'm gonna use, but it's probably gonna get heavy use. I think I'm gonna throw it in my motorcycle bag first, but it also is great for just families. My daughter's in volleyball, my son loves soccer balls. If it's in my trunk on my motorcycle, I can just go grab it real quick. I might even pick up another one and just leave it in my toolbox. So we got tons of options. Given that it's so small, so compact, you can kind of have these little guys anywhere. So what do you think of these handheld tools from Hoto? The laser measure was on my radar, but the air pump wasn't. And to be honest with you, it surprised me a lot, and it's gotten a lot of use lately. So definitely a pleasant surprise on the air pump. As always, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. There's more videos on the screen and more of my content. Take a look at that to see what else I've got going on. As always, I'm Lamar with MF Research. I'm out.